lovely people, Nina here. So a few months ago, I made a video on like books I was going to read in the fall, and I had a whole stack of books. And just because of school and life and everything in general, I did not get through like any of those books. I tried, but it just got too much and I had too much going on. So I did get through 3-ish of the books, and I thought I would talk about them today for this week's video because I really loved them. So the first one that I read, and I don't even think I had this on my list of ones I was going to read in the fall, I just ended up picking it up because it was on my shelf and I was like, oh, I really want to read this and I need something kind of shorter to read that's like not easier but just lighter maybe. And so I picked up Emily Dickinson's Envelope Poems. My older sister gave this to me as a birthday gift, I believe, birthday or Christmas. And it's Envelope Poems by Emily Dickinson, and this is just an entire book of poems that Emily Dickinson never meant to be published, but she wrote on little like scraps of envelope, and then they're transcribed on the other side to what they say. And some of them are just on like little scraps of paper, and then over here it's the poem. And some of them, they don't make sense because she was just kind of jotting down even like ideas or short little like sentences. So some of them aren't even full poems, but it's things that Emily Dickinson wrote, and it's very beautiful. It's an easier read because it's just shorter and a little bit lighter, and it's cool because you can see her like actual handwriting in it. I don't know, I really loved this. If you're a poetry nerd and English nerd like me and you like Emily Dickinson, I would suggest reading this. I loved it. 10 out of 10. The next book of poetry, I'm not through yet, but I'm almost there. I have like a teeny bit to go, so I'll probably finish this later today. And it's Night Sky with Exit Wounds by Ocean Vuong. I read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, and it was so sad and beautiful, and I cried. So I went out and got this one from a little local bookstore. And this one is stories about family and love and war. And it's really kind of dark, but it's beautiful. And it made me sad, but I loved it. I almost loved it. Is it bad? I don't know. Maybe about the same or even more than On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. This is a different, obviously this is poems, and On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous is more like a book. But I loved it. I think it's beautiful. I'm still reading it, as you can tell, and I'll finish it, and maybe I'll give you a full review once I'm like completely done. But for now, the first over half of it is very beautiful, and I loved it. So that's this one. I was like, oh, in my video, I think I said I was going to get through more poetry because it's shorter and easier to read for me specifically, but I just didn't have the time that I thought I was going to have. But I do love Ocean Vuong's writing. It's all amazing and beautiful and sad. It's very sad, but I love it. The only book I read is John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed. I loved this book. I think the universe was telling me that this is the book I needed to read, and this is going to be the book of the fall for me, because I loved it, and this made me love, I already love John Green, but it made me love him 1,000 times more than I already do. And if you don't know what this book is about, he reviews things from the Anthropocene period and gives them a ranking, and then intertwines his life or like different stories into it. And it's a bunch of like short stories. I can show you an example. So like the mountain goats, and then it's just short stories on that. If you follow him on like social media or whatever, you'll have heard of Dr. Pepper and his passion for Dr. Pepper, which I can very much relate to. That is in this, and there's just a whole bunch of great stories. There's one called Harvey where he talks about struggling with just life, and he's so like open about it, and it's just so relatable and amazing to read because I feel like so many people just like struggle and just need to hear that, and the fact that he's so open and amazing about it is so great, and it made me cry, and I love this book. This is like one of my favorite books like of all time. I love it. And I think, okay, I went to look to remember the title of it because I couldn't remember, but it's called Jerzy Dudek's Performance on May 25th, 2005. So this is, and it's a whole story. Oh, I'm kind of out of focus. There we go. It's a whole story on this football player. He's a goalie named Jerzy Dudek, and his basically journey to being a professional football player, and the idea of like hopelessness and finding hope in the rough times. And I loved this story so much. His, like, I don't know, I think everyone should read this because especially now when times are kind of a lot and there's a lot with the world and life and everything in general, this is a good book to turn to, and I think it was just amazing. So yeah, thank you, John Green, for this because I needed it. I loved it. Those are the 3 books I read this fall, now into winter. I loved them, and maybe that was life just saying 3 books was good enough. I loved them, especially John Green. So that is it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you take the time to listen to or read a good book, because when you get the moment, it's really enjoyable. And if you want a good listen, I listened to this on audiobook as well as reading it, and to hear him narrate it is just 1,000 times better. So if you want to do that, I think it's free. Spotify has a thing now where they have audiobooks, so if you pay for like Spotify, you can literally listen to it for like free with your subscription. So I would suggest doing that. And yeah, that is it for this week's video. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye!